I am Srinivas Ramanujan, representing Bosch at Bidadi Industries Association, and I will guide you through today's session. It has been such an engaging and enlightening journey, all these 5 previous sessions, which have resonated so well with our industrial fraternity. And though it is a bit sad that it is concluding today, we avidly look forward to this final session. As practiced, an announcement for those who are new to these sessions. Since this is a talk session and in order to efficiently manage this online meeting, we will not be having a Q&A session. However, those with specific questions can address them to us at BIA or BCIC or by email to contact@act.edu.in. It will appear in the chat box shortly. We will coordinate to get the responses if required. Regret if this is an inconvenience and request you to bear with us. The admin will mute all participants for better audio. I now request Mr. A. Murali, Vice President at Toyota Susho India Private Limited, Secretary at Bidadi Industries Association and Advisor at Bangalore Chamber of Industries and Commerce, to give the welcome address and introduction. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you all again for the 6th and concluding session on leadership talks organized by BCIC and BIA. It has always been a delight to see Dr. Gururaj Karjagi every Wednesday. It has become a sort of a earmarking of a calendar to see that the Wednesday is complete only after hearing him. On behalf of everybody here, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. Welcome, sir. For new viewers, let me briefly introduce Dr. Karjagi. Dr. Gururaj Karjagi is a world-renowned motivational speaker, columnist, author, researcher, academician, educationist, teacher, trainer, expert, thinker, and the most humble, down-to-earth personality. He is a doctoral degree holder in chemistry from Karnataka University and has published over 22 research papers in international journals. Through the profound determination and enduring energy, Dr. Karjagi has traveled every village of Kalyana, Karnataka to talk to school children, college and university students, parents and general public on various topics of education, parenting skills, human values, happy family values, Indian culture, patriotism, and being positive. Through this program, he has reached out to over 1 million people so far. He has given lectures at the Gokhale Institute, founded by Dr. D.V. Gundappa and inaugurated by Mahatma Gandhi, on various aspects of philosophy, culture of India, and about those great lives that have illuminated the lives of countless other millions. He has edited a huge compendium of articles on almost every aspect of education, and this is brought out as a book titled Shikshana Shilpa. His daily morning talks on All India Radio has made him a household name in Karnataka. He has dozens of awards to his credit for his distinguished services, literary accomplishments, and philanthropic outlook. He regularly speaks at world corporates and universities the world over. We feel proud and honored to have him today in spite of his busy schedule. Sir, it's so special to have you speaking to us again today, exclusively to the members of BIA and BCIC. Welcome you, sir. We extend also our profound welcome to each and every member of Bidadi Industry Association and Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and leaders, staff members to have here. The topic of today's is learning during times of change. Leading during times of change. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome once again, all of you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome and introduction. I now request, without much ado, to hand over the screen to Dr. Gururaj Karjagi, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm so honored that I had the chance of talking to outstanding luminaries in the field of industry for the last 5 occasions. And I also feel sad, as Ramanujan mentioned, that this is the last lecture. But last is never really the last. It can be the first of many more to come in future. And the topic given to me is so beautiful. Topic is leading during times of change. Change is inevitable. We can't live without a change. Today I thought of doing something special. I would like to tell a story today, this time. Today I thought this is the best time to tell stories. I'll share the PPT with you. I hope you are able to see the PPT. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is something exciting. I normally uh, put the cover page in a different way. You see the world now. There's a beautiful world which looks translucent or transparent, but a hand is trying to touch that. Hand is trying to touch that. Hand is real. The world is virtual. Today we are in a virtual world. In fact, now we are so scared of talking to people. Unfortunate that we are scared of people as if everyone is a carrier of a coronavirus. We are talking to the world as if it is a unknown entity and a virtual world. But that's how it has happened. We can't help it. Things change, we thought, without our permission. Today I'll discuss about this. In fact, Obama won the elections on this slogan only: change we can believe in. I was in US at that time when the campaign was going on. He managed to see that everyone in the US, the word change would hit them. Everywhere, everywhere. So people, when they started seeing this in large number, they thought, yes, change is required. Change is required. How the word change brought a new unknown entity as the president of America. At that time, nobody thought that Obama would win in the beginning stages. But when it came to the final stages, he was a sure victor. Look at the industry has changed so much. Videocon has changed its brand. Godrej has changed its style. Seat, Shoppers Stop, our famous Hindustan Livers underwent a change in logo. Hutch became Vodafone. UTI became Axis Bank. Why are they changing? Not changing for changing's sake. This picture is very interesting. Amir Khan joined the film industry as a shy chocolate hero. The first picture that you see there, slowly and slowly he had to metamorphose himself into a hero with a six-pack body. Amir Khan is not known for six-pack body. He became like that because situation wanted him to change. That's how it happened. Change is inevitable to all of us. What are the types of changes that we have to undergo, that we have to face? First is technology changes. Unbelievable. We can't even predict what will happen next year. Forget about next 10 years. Technology is driving our life as never before. Cultural changes, new policies and values, reorganization of structures. Companies are reorganizing themselves. What I thought as a company will stay for 100 years, we can't be so sure now. The Lehman Brothers, a bank of 100 years standing, dissolved like an iceberg overnight. We don't know how it happens. And now we have a threat of serious and new competitors. Earlier, when we thought of competitors, we thought of competitors neighborhood. Today, there's nothing called a neighborhood competitor. Your person, your friend may be in Mexico, he may be competing with you. Person in Switzerland can be competing with us. So boundaries have disappeared. Serious competition has come in. Start up new division. You start a new division and we have to understand that. And another one could be change in the top management level. People change at the top level. And when the top man changes, there's a change culture in the whole organization. We have to get used to it. In fact, we say the head of the organization is responsible for building the culture of the organization. All these changes, whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. I'll share a small thing with you. It was in the year 2000 that I was in Geneva. There was so much talk going on that the world is changing so fast. Everybody said the world is changing so fast. And we want to know how fast it changes. Somebody wanted to quantify it. Some technologists, social scientists, anthropologists all came together, decided a few parameters, and they asked themselves a question, one question. What is the midpoint between 0 and 2000 years? What we call the new era, Christian era, 0 to 2000 years. What is the midpoint between them? Mathematically, midpoint is 1000 years. They found sociologically the midpoint is not 1,000 years, it is 1,900. What does that mean? Whatever happened in the last 100 years is comparable to what happened in the previous 1900 years. That is the rate at which the world was changing. Okay, then they ask the next question. If 1900 is the midpoint between 0 and 2000 years, what is the midpoint between 1900 and 2000? I closed the book report and I wanted to guess it. I could guess only about to 1965 or 1970 could be the midpoint. But I was shell shocked when I saw the report. It says, you'll be surprised, the midpoint between 1900 and 2000 is 1992. That means whatever happened in the last 8 years of the previous century is comparable to what happened in the previous 92 years. We are all part of this change. Where was mobile phone 25 years ago? We all lived comfortably. Today we can't live without a mobile. And then earlier, to get something typed, we had to go to the sacred typewriters. There was no electronic typewriter, there was no computer at that time. But today, technology has changed your life as never before. You can talk to your neighbor as comfortably as you can talk to a person across the globe. You can do that so easily. The world has changed phenomenally. So all these changes are happening with or without our permission. Today I have decided to tell you a nice story. This is a marvelous story, my friends, and I would request you to note this title of this article I have written, Our Iceberg is Melting. This is the title of a novel. I don't call it as a novel, it's a book by John Cotter. I put his name also there. John Cotter is my friend. I met him. He is a professor of environmental science in Harvard Business School. I am told that he's tipped for a Nobel Prize now. You go to any research, any field, any publication on change management, you will find the name of John Cotter. I met him. He had published his book at that time, just recently at that time. I took the book, finished reading in one day. I told him, can I convert this into a training material? He said, if you can do it, you can do it. I made and showed him. He liked it very much. This is a story I'm going to tell you today. And as I'm telling the story, please see the background is the change. Background is the change. Our iceberg is melting. This is the story about penguins. I'm listing out the main characters of this novel. One is Fred, a young dynamic boy. Alice is a young lady, very dynamic and very aggressive, go-getter. Louis is the head of the family. Buddy is a young boy. The professor is a very serious man. Nono, his name is Nono. He says no to everything. There are some pessimists in every world. He's a Nono. And the story starts like this. In Antarctic region, there are huge icebergs. There are large number of penguins called as emperor penguins. It's a colony of penguins. You can see in the picture, iceberg was there for many centuries. It's surrounded by sea, and sea has a lot of seafood. All the penguins want is seafood. And they're used to this climate, but they're scared of the winter storms. They were happy that the huge walls of the iceberg that gave them shelter from the winter storms. And they thought that the iceberg would remain there for all times to come. It will always be there. Oh. The screen went.
No, sir, we can see the screen.
The PPT.
Yeah, we can see it here. I mean, it's still, screen is still, but we can see it.
Are you able to see now? Okay. And then they thought the iceberg will always be there. Like we think, our world will remain all the time like this only. They were comfortable. But there was one penguin called Fred. He was a different kind of a person. He was always curious and observant. You see, I'm relating these characters. You try to relate it to people around you in your organization. You'll find all characters there. Very curious and observant character. He observed that he went around the end of the icebergs everywhere, and he found that iceberg was melting. He found the iceberg was melting. He observed the environment. He checked up every month. Last month it was like this. What is happening this month? He made all observation, and his story says his briefcase. You can see it looks nice to see a penguin carrying a briefcase. The briefcase was full of observations, ideas, and conclusions. After checking for many months, he came to one strong conclusion that our iceberg is melting and may soon break apart. Once it breaks apart, they will all fall into the ocean. They will die. The more he observed, more he was sure that his finding was right. Then what we do when he got information, he went and shared with the other penguins. See, I went around the iceberg and iceberg is melting and soon it will collapse. People laughed. People laughed. Does it not happen to us also now? Somebody comes and says, next year the world will come to an end. We have seen this happening. 2012, the world will disappear, and people made pictures and earned money. Nothing happened to the world. We are also under the impression that nothing would happen to the world. Other penguins laughed at him, ridiculed him, and said, you must be having some problem. Get your brain checked up. Do that. And the next, after that, the colony had a leadership, as we have leadership for any community. This is called Group of 10. Leadership Council was called Group of 10. The head was Louis, or Louis as we call. He was the head penguin. Out of the 10 people in the group, there was one lady called as Alice, one of the 10 leaders. She was a tough but practical bird. Very, very tough bird. But one thing about her, she was very confident of getting things done. She was a practical bird. She was a group of 10 and she was very keen on getting things done. Fred thought, out of the 10 people, Alice is good. Normally it happens, you always go to a person who takes decisions and gets things done. And Fred thought, I can meet Alice only and tell her about what is happening. He explained to Alice, showed his records. Alice, our world is coming to an end. This iceberg will no more be there. Alice did not believe him initially. She wondered whether you have some problem, personal crisis for you. She listened carefully. This is the quality of a good leader. She listened very carefully and asked Fred, okay, what is the basis of your argument? How do you say the iceberg is melting? Take me to those places. Then Fred took Alice to all the problematic places in the iceberg. What did he show her? This is what is important. Both Fred and Alice swam around the iceberg, and you can see the picture. Fred pointed out those places. There are fissures, there are canals formed, and there are caves formed. This usually happens to any iceberg. Water gets in. Iceberg starts cracking, water gets into those caves. Water in summer is okay, but it comes to winter, the water which has gone into the iceberg starts freezing, and we know the anomalous expansion of water. When the water becomes ice, it expands in size. You can imagine now the blue lines we have there, the water enters inside, and once it starts expanding, what will happen? The whole thing cracks and the whole thing tumbles down. This is what will happen to an iceberg. It falls off. Alice listened to him carefully and agreed. Okay, there's a problem. She went to the leadership council. She told them this is what is happening and what Fred is told is true. And most likely our iceberg will dissolve very soon. They also thought, like anybody else, Alice must be having some problem. Nothing will happen to our iceberg. They had more problems to handle. The leadership, has different problems. Problems like complaining about small children. The little penguins are not doing well. How to arrange food. These problems they had in many. My friend, this happens when your day-to-day worries overtake your life. We don't think of the major problem that confront us. Same thing happened to the leaders also. But finally, when Alice did not leave them, I told you she was a go-getter. She started chasing them. You must do something about it. Finally, they agreed. They said, we'll meet Fred and listen to him. Fred did an interesting thing. But to told them, to prove that this is very serious problem. Explain to them the imminent disaster. It will not much time left now. Maybe another 5-10 years. this iceberg will go away, it will not remain. He created a model. Very nice thing. This is what I want to explain. People won't listen to talks. Please listen to the models. Demonstration has to be done. What this Fred had done was, he created an ice block, made some cracks in that, added water in that. And by next day morning, the ice block has cracked. They were all scared and they were silent. They watched it. Everyone was convinced that our iceberg is collapsing, excepting Nono. This Nono is a character who always says he is right and everyone is wrong. Any proposal you give it to him, he says, no, this will not work. This will not work. Therefore, his name itself is Nono. He insisted that ice melting is okay, but nothing will happen to our iceberg. It has remained there for centuries, nothing will happen. He ignored it. And then Nono always went on telling everybody, this Fred is foolish. Alice is falling into the trap, don't listen to him. Until one day, Alice told very strongly to all the people, imagine parents who lost their children come to us and ask us, how could this have happened if you have been very smart in managing leadership? You are leadership positions, therefore you must have thought over it. If you don't foresee that, it's your mistake and we lost our children. What will you do? How will you answer? Finally, I draw the attention of the group, and council minister suggested we should form a committee about this. All of us cannot think about everything. Let us form a small committee and see how best it can go about it. And then Fred also started worrying. Now they want to form a committee. I should convince the committee also. You know what he did? Fred saw a bottle floating in water. Somebody had gone to the iceberg, must have dropped a bottle there. He filled water in that, tightly closed the lid and kept it frozen in the ice. Next day morning, he took this committee, new committee formed, and showed them what had happened. The glass had burst, the glass had exploded. The reason, because water was there in the bottle, is kept in the iceberg, water froze, and when water freezes, it expands and the glass bottle broke. This was very important. This big, such a telling effect on the committee. They said, yes, now we are not going to live long on this planet. This particular iceberg is not enough for us. They heard first-hand report about warning signs, and Fred took all of them around the iceberg and showed them all the cracks where water was getting filled up and told them whatever happened to bottle will happen to iceberg also now. Now they were thoroughly convinced. They're convinced. And now Fred had completed the first step of a successful change. Very important. First step of successful change, reduce complacency and increase urgency. Is very important to us. When you want to do something, unless you create a sense of urgency, people will not take it seriously. Anything to be done? Yes. Okay. Reduce complacency and increase urgency. Is our nature. Unless it becomes urgent, we don't attend to it. Supposing I have to give a lecture next year, January, I will not worry about it now at all. Probably next December I start worrying, oh, next month I have a lecture. And 10 days before the lecture, I'll definitely start preparing. And the day before the lecture, I'm really prepared. That means this is what happens. Unless you create a sense of urgency, we don't do it. Fred had done one job. He created urgency in the minds of all people. I'm going to summarize all the steps at the end. It's beautiful. Louis said, as you said, committee is to be formed. We'll form a team now. Team consisting of the following people. One was Mike. He's a very senior penguin. See how the committees are constituted. These are the names. You can forget the names. In your own organization, when committees are formed, how are they formed? One is Mike. A senior person has to be there, head of this. He is patient, experienced, conservative, respected, smart but not very intelligent. I don't say he was intelligent at his time, but today the world has changed so much. People don't take him as very seriously as intellectual heavyweight, but a senior man, good man. Alice is one, very practical, aggressive, go-getter, smart, does not care about anything else, treats everyone the same, and is impossible to intimidate her. Very good. She's a performer. Then there is another member called as Buddy. Buddy is a young boy, boyishly handsome, not very ambitious, but good fellow, but not intellectual heavyweight. Why is he there? Somebody should represent youngsters, you know. Mike represents elderly people, Alice represents women, Buddy represents young people, and there is Fred, the man who has complained. He is the one investigator. He is a curious man, level-headed man, creative. And there's also another person called me. Me is a logical fellow. He wants everything in logic only. He is a well-read man, curious, but not very social. Such people are like that. They are very comfortable with books, not with people. He is only not very social man, but a good reader. This is a team. And the team together went out to have a lunch. Lunch for penguins is only squids. They jumped in water and collected large amount of squid, sat there in circles, talked about their life, their love, the hopes, their dreams, everything started. And now their focus was, instead of all penguins talking about the iceberg melting, this committee became a focus. They started thinking more focused about what to do now. Second successful change step is pull together a team to guide the needed change. First one is create a sense of urgency. Only when things become urgent, we act on it. And small committee is formed, a team is formed to focus on the change. Second stage. I now come to the third stage. This committee started brainstorming all possible options. What shall we do? If this iceberg goes away, where are we going? What do we do? They were all most scared also, but they said, we can't change the iceberg. If iceberg melts and falls down, we have to change ourselves. We have to change our current way of living. This is something spectacular, my friends. Normally we worry about us. We don't worry about changing ourselves. He says, iceberg will melt and go away. We have to live. Therefore, we have to change our current way of life. As they were thinking, what are the other models that we have? Suddenly they saw a bird flying in the sky. It's a seagull. A lovely seagull was flying. They said, where does it go? One penguin said, no, last week he was in the other island. This week he is here. Next week he can be anywhere. Oh, seagull is a nomad then. Nomad means keep wandering all over. No base of its own. They said, oh, nice, very nice, very good. I think we should live the life of seagull. What is so special about this iceberg? We can go to another iceberg, wherever fish is there, we'll go. They said we should live the life of a seagull. They had reached the third important stage of this, called as create a vision of a new future. Now, we have been stuck to this particular iceberg. We need not stay here only. We can go to another iceberg. They started developing a vision. We can become like a nomad. The Louis, the head penguin, called another general assembly of all the seagulls in this and told them very clearly, look, the committee was formed. They said this iceberg will not stay down. It will go. And they also told about there is a beautiful bird called seagull. It has so much freedom. It can go anywhere and stay anywhere. We also have no luggage. We have no built houses. We are free. We can also go to anything. We should also live the free world of a nomad. Though it was a very powerful speech that Louis gave, people did not accept it. Oh, this old fellow goes on talking about it. Can we leave this and go? Our own house? Some people are confused. Some people say stupidity. We should stay here only. Then Alice decided they needed constantly remind the fellow penguins. Unless you create, this is something extraordinary, my friends. Normally, when a vision is made, only the top people know the vision. Everyone is not aware of the vision. That's where the systems fail. Alice decided we should involve everybody, tell everybody what is happening. They started sending messages to everyone. She told all penguins, head penguins are there. You must inform at least 100 penguins. This is what is good. In just about a week's time, every penguin has started talking about, oh, nice to have a nomad life. Why should we get stuck to this? So mentally they prepared themselves for leaving this iceberg and go to some other iceberg. This is the step 4 of a successful change. Communicate the vision. You created a new vision of a nomad, now communicate it to everyone. They all shared the same thing. Then this communication campaign worked. Everybody was enthusiastic now. They said, oh, nomad colony, we call nomad colony and we'll free, no fixed home, we can learn from the seagulls. Everybody started talking about it. But the question is, if they have to leave this iceberg, they have to find another iceberg. Somebody has to go and find out. Somebody has to be scouts. Scouts have to move out and come back. You require young, powerful, strong penguins to go there. Some people were willing. Some volunteered. Yes, we'll go and look for new iceberg. But there were a lot of people who were called naysayers. We call them doomsday soothsayers. You would tell anything to them, they say, no, no, this will not work. This will not work. Hey, you will die. You go to swim there, another, we don't know what is there in the other. All kinds of negative things. Does it not happen to us? When you present one new model, 10 people pull you down. Oh, that will not work. We have tested already, it doesn't work. Similarly, people started saying that it doesn't work. But another worry they had was, if these scout penguins, which go out and search for another iceberg, who will get fish for them? Because there's a rule in penguins is, nobody will catch penguin for them. They have to catch their own penguins. They don't share. I catch my fish, I eat it. I don't give it to anybody else. And apart from it, these penguins are swimming in the water, long distance. They require more fish. How to get fishes for them? Because we have no culture of sharing there. And now, penguin leaders became very creative. We had to give fishes for these scouts and also search for a new island. In fact, they started carrying banners. You see, the picture is so beautiful. The nomadic solution is logical. They said, we are logical. If the bird can be nomadic, we can also be nomadic. They went to the school. So beautiful. I like this John Cotter's model, so beautiful. He says, they went to the school and told the teachers, see, you tell your youngsters in the school, because they know very well, if the parents say something, children may not believe it. If the teacher says something, children believe it immediately. They went to the teachers and told them, this is good. We have to search for a new home now. And we want heroes for that. And secondly, all these boys and girls go out as scouts, swim long distances and search for another iceberg and come back. They are our heroes. Am I right? They are heroes. We should celebrate the heroes. Students were excited. Teachers were excited. And teachers started talking to all the students. Yeah, some of you senior boys and girls should become scouts. They were excited. They were willing to go. And said, we'll have a program called Tribute to Our Heroes Day. A Tribute to Our Heroes Day. Now everybody is involved. School children, parents, teachers. Parents were not willing earlier. But when the children started telling them, they also started believing. Everybody in the community, they said, yes, our only option now is, see, please see my friends, there's something beautiful. They were all looking for all options. When they zoomed on one option, now this focuses action plan. They all were convinced now that this is the only way, get out of this iceberg and go to another iceberg. The fifth step of successful change is make everyone feel empowered. Everyone is empowered now. Yes, we'll do that. The next step, the penguin scouts left for their mission. They were jumping and going into water. Meanwhile, what happened is, schools started planning, committees started planning Tribute to Heroes Day. They said, welcome them with a great gusto. There will be raffle, there will be performances, there will be music, there will be market there to receive the heroes. And look at the intelligence of these people. Admission ticket will be 2 fish per adult. 2 fish per adult. Why? The reason is 1 fish for them, and the swimmers who come there, the scouts who come back from there, they require more fish. They have no time to catch fish there. They are hungry. They should be given more. Therefore, entry ticket is 2 fish per adults. The parents were not keen on attending the raffle and exhibition and all that. But children did not leave them. You should come and attend. And Heroes Day was scheduled for the same day when the scouts were to return. They had gone out. They were coming on that day. That day was declared as Heroes Day. And all the scouts returned. Everyone celebrated. excepting of course Nono. Nono was saying, oh, they will not come back, they will die on the way, other birds will kill them. Nothing happened. All the scouts returned and everyone was very happy. And you can visualize, my friends, you can visualize all the penguins there in the raffle market, and the music and performance and dance was there. A stage was created there, and these heroes, when they came back, nice medals were put around their neck, hero, hero, medal. And these youngsters were so happy that they could do successfully something. Celebrated in a big way. This is the step 6 of the successful change. Create a short-term win. I should spend a minute on this, my friends, I should tell you. There's a difference between a war and a battle. War is long drawn. It may take 10 years. But there are short battles. I can compare it with Mahabharata. The Mahabharata Kurukshetra war took 18 days. But at the end of each day, there was celebration for some, sadness for some. And Krishna made a rule there. Every day we should celebrate at the end of the day. Why? War is not over yet. We won the battle. Similarly, John Cotter says, when you are bringing up a change in your organization, it may take 10 years to make the change, 5 years. People have no patience to wait for 5 years. Very few people have the patience to wait for 5 years to see the fruits of their hard work. He said, every small success that we get, small success, celebrate it. We call short-term wins, celebrate it. Oh yes, we completed the first stage, very nice, we congratulate each other, happy. Then you are ready for the second stage, you are ready for the third stage. If you wait for the final stage, not many will follow you. So therefore, step 6 is create a short-term win. They celebrated Heroes Day in a very nice way. Look at the enthusiasm of these young penguins. Life was boring in that. Suddenly they say, life was boring in that iceberg. Now this is fun. Instead of staying there, we jump into water and swim. And one said, I must help my team. And other boy was saying, Jane will be proud of me. He was trying to impress his girlfriend. People did for different reasons, you know. More penguins volunteered to support the cause. They are willing to be scouts. Soon, they found a new iceberg. That will be their new home. It's very interesting, my friend, something exciting. New iceberg was found. And then they had to move from one iceberg to another iceberg. All of them have to move. Can you imagine this? You have to leave this planet and go to another one. Somebody was telling me jocularly, now sites are available on planet Mars. They're making sites on planet Mars. You can purchase one site, but one condition is you have only one-way ticket now. We'll take you there, but don't bring you back. Move on, but you don't come back to India. Come back to world. I'm told some people have agreed to do that. They have agreed to book their tickets on planet Mars. Now imagine I had to leave this planet. This story is so powerful and magnificent. John Cotter should be really complimented. Compare this with our planet. I had to leave this planet and go to some other planet. How will be my mental frame? I find it very difficult. There were problems on the way. And first few months were difficult. Then went to the another iceberg. The new life started. It was difficult, but nothing horrible about it. Because you see, penguins do not have a house. They don't have a belonging of their own. They just go and stay there. But still, getting used to it was a little difficult. As I told you, change is very difficult. Change is nice to talk about, but when you go to the changes, managing change is not easy. So they settled down. Nothing horrible happened, but they had to make a few adjustments and settle. 1 year they stayed there. 1 year they stayed there. At the end of 1 year, again the young penguins started saying, why should we stay in this iceberg? We'll move on to another iceberg. Nothing belongs to us. And then there are more better fish there. Already they have got scouts now. The scouts started going. Now the idea was, we are not going to stay here for all times to come. We have to change. They went to other iceberg, swam there, found better fish there. I said, we'll go to that bird. And finally, they moved on to another iceberg. This is stage 7 of a successful change. Don't let up. Once you make a victory, once you find a change, don't let up. Don't become stagnant again. Think of another fresh change, new change. And now the last stage is very important. They started talking to themselves. Oh, tomorrow we'll move out to there in another iceberg. One fellow asked, why again? It is so nice here, no? Another said, who cares? As long as there are good fish in that area, we'll move to another bird. And one said, I love being a scout. This spirit of adventure came in. Now you know that you are not going to settle here. That's what our great Kuempu said. Mane enendu kattadiru. Don't settle at one place. Look for another option, better options. The penguins started doing it. What happened now? Today, the penguin colony does not stay at one place. It moves like a nomadic colony from one iceberg to another iceberg. They were here for some time. I have seen that happening. The penguins shift from one iceberg to another iceberg so easily. And looking at that only, John Cotter wrote this. And Louis, the head penguin, now he's a very old man, grandfather. What he does is, he sits with all penguin chicks, small little birds, and goes on telling them the stories of what happened in the first one. That's what the grandfathers do. They said, oh, when I was a child, you know what happened? Oh, I thought that was the only iceberg we should stay. But then we found the iceberg was cracking. We didn't know what to do. And all stories started telling it. Please remember, there is a point in this, my friends. It may be a small distraction, but I would like to tell you that. The generations together, the heredity is passed on, legacy is passed on. I remember once I was traveling with Dr. Kalam, and he suddenly asked me, have I told you about my teacher? I told a lie, absolute lie. I've heard from him only about 5-6 times about his teacher. I said, no, sir. When I said, no, sir, his secretary sitting in front of me turned back and gave me a very sharp look. You heard that story in my presence only. How are you saying no? I simply said no with an innocent face. Kalam said, I have not told you. I'll tell you. He started telling it. Since I had heard it so many times, I could even narrate what he would tell next also. When we reached the place, the secretary Prasad asked me, hey, you had heard this story 3 times in my presence only. Why did you say I have not heard? I told him, even if it tells me 10 times more, I'll say I have not heard. The reason is that it must be happening in your house also, my friends. If you have a grandfather or father, very old person in your house, do you know, they will get selective memory. They forget majority things. Few things they won't forget. They keep on repeating the same story to you. You feel, Bodoyo, again he started. It used to happen in my house. My father was 87-year-old. He was the director of the state, and most of the things he forgot. Some things would remain permanent in his mind. I think when he was young, he had purchased a 350cc motorbike at that time. He did not know how to ride a motorbike. How he took the motorbike home from the garage is a romantic story. My sons were tired of listening to that. The moment my father said motorcycle, they would go away. I'll come later on. One day I saw my father sitting there alone. I went and sat next to him. Anna, you have taken motorbike, no? He was surprised. I had not told you. No. He started telling me the motorbike story. I heard it. My son asked me, Appa, I have heard it 100 times. You must have heard it at least 300 times. Why are you asking again? The answer is very simple. I told him, I know the story. Story is not important to me. When he is telling the story, please watch him. His eyes sparkle. He's so excited. He's so happy. What can you give it to an old man at that age? By listening to him, I'm taking him back emotionally to that age. Am I right? He's going back to that age, reliving the whole experience. That is the best gift you can give it to them. Now Louis is doing the same thing, constructing the story of how first time they left the iceberg and went to another one. By doing this, what he is doing is, he is passing on a legacy to the younger one, saying that you should also be like that. Don't get stuck at one place. You find better place, shift there. That is called final step of the successful change. Create a new culture. Create a new culture. So when you do something new, don't allow it to die. Don't let stubborn, hard to die traditions overcome the new changes. Change is the rule. It will happen. I'll summarize this into beautiful steps. This is very important, my friends. When you have to manage change, these 8 steps are very, very important. John Cotter has written several books on each one of them, several books. But he has condensed all of them into simple 8 steps. If I want to bring change or manage change, first of all, create a sense of urgency. Unless it's urgent, people don't do it. Pull together a guiding team. If everybody talks about it, everybody's work is nobody's work. Focus a team. Then develop a change vision. This team will work. Others will be concentrating on something else, but this team will focus work on that and design a vision, a new change vision. And once you develop a vision, it's not enough. Communicate the vision for understanding and buy-ins. Win people. Communicate to as many people as possible. And fifth one, say, yeah, we all together can do it. Empower others to act. And next is produce short-term wins. This is very crucial. Celebrate small victories. Celebrate small victories. Sometimes I see cricket matches, and when the wicket falls, they run to each other as if they won the tournament. I then wondering, why are they doing this? They are celebrating short wins. 1 wicket down is good enough, no problem. All 10 wickets will not fall in one go. Celebrate each small win. And then sometimes what happens is, when you celebrate short win, you sleep over it and do not take the next step. The next step is more. Don't let up. War is not over yet. You have won a battle. War is not over yet. Don't let up. Continue. And then once you make a change also, you make a change or manage a change, don't stop at that. Create a new culture. Keep talking to them that vision has to change, alter. For example, I remember we have a black box in our house called as a telephone earlier. You remember, I'm sure all of you remember the telephone, the black box in the house. You go on turning the numbers, your finger gets skewed, but you will not get the connection. From there, we started with a mobile which was as big as a walkie-talkie. It was a matter of status to carry that. It became small, it became too small, it became Android. Now today, mobile is also used for communication. It does 100 functions, it also is used for communication. Are we not living with that? I have seen people, women in villages, they send WhatsApp messages. I tell you how people are used to changes now. We are not used to this change. How they learned? Nobody gave a program, nobody gave them a lesson on how to use mobiles. I went to a shop in Bijapur, small village in Bijapur district. Some sari to be purchased. I don't know whether my daughter-in-law will like this sari or not. I didn't know, color also. And that lady selling the sari says, sir, why are you worried? Take a WhatsApp photograph and send it, they'll tell you. I didn't know. Take a photograph, send it back. In 2 minutes you get an approval, you can do it. I was surprised. The technology has been won over by people who have never learned technology. This is creating a new culture. Once you create a new culture, it becomes your own. And the last point I would like to say, my friends, these two questions we can ponder over it later. What penguin did you relate to the most? Louis, the head, or the Fred, who is an investigator, or Alice, the go-getter, the buddy, nice chap who does nothing, or Nono? Nono is also. I said, did certain penguins remind you of certain people in your work environment or of other people in your life? You find Nonos in your life, you find Freds in your life, you find Alice in your life, you find Louis also in your life. So many people are there. This is a nice story about change management. This is a book which I request you, urge you and compel you to read that book. My Iceberg is Melting. It's a fascinating story. Now the story is with you. The PPT will also be with you. Go through it once again and at a leisure time and see how this can be an instrument. In fact, I have seen John Kotter doing that, using this as an instrument, telling people how to manage change. And if you see the 8 points he has given, we can specifically find out at what stage we are in the organization. What stage are we in? You can give a pointer for that. So this is one of the loveliest lessons I learned from that book. Our Iceberg is Melting. And I thanked John Kotter no end. I told him it's one of the finest books you have produced. Of course, I have read his other articles coming in Harvard Business Review. You would have seen that. But this is most beautiful way of narrating beautiful concept of change management in the form of a story. Thank you so much. Extremely kind of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Gururaj Karjagi, sir. We have no words to express our gratitude and thanks to all the wonderful sessions that you had, all the 6 sessions. It has been a great learning experience. Listening to you itself is such a pleasure
Thank you,
that
sir.
it resonates with every ounce of our time and effort and energies. So, such a wonderful experience. And you have done all these things with the utmost humility without ever expecting anything in return. That is one more point for us. And to all the participants, we would like to inform that we have joined here at Dr. Karjagi's office, and we are thrilled to meet him in person because even though we insisted, he refused to accept any remuneration or compensation for these sessions. He has done this totally pro bono, and such a service-minded person, such a great personality. It is our humble duty to acknowledge and honor him in some way, in our own humble way, so that it is our expression of gratitude.
If you're listening,
Join us in felicitating him. I now request Mr. Prakash, CEO of BIA, to, to do the needful in giving the honors to Dr. Raj Karjagi.
so much. Any kind of small gratitude. What is this? This is not
This is just a check in your organization name so that you can do more good work.
Nothing comes to me. Goes to organization.
We know that and
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
request you to take.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This is
Just a
small. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
and very, very grateful to you for it.
I think I am so grateful because I have a chance of talking to so many people. Otherwise, I have no chance of meeting all of you. Thank you, sir. Very, very kind of you.
On behalf of BIA and BCIC, I sincerely thank you for having conducted all these sessions successfully. Thank you so much, sir, and especially today's session. Very, very good.
In fact, I would request you to read that book.
Yes.
And if you travel to US, you can go to Harvard Business School and meet John Conrad. Amazing scholar on change management. Since I worked with him for some time, understand his intensity of speaking for change management.
I understand you are proceeding to US shortly, so if you get a chance to meet him, please.
I'll meet him. I'll tell him that I had a session with all of you. I'll tell him.
Thank you so much, sir. We are very honored. We are very honored to have you, and we look forward for future sessions.
Yes.
So we will be contacting you for that shortly.
Please. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. And thanks to all the participants and viewers, especially to ACT and BA and BCS. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will just request viewers to wait a minute.
Murali sir, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, sir. It's been a great honor for us to have you talk last 6 weeks, and our Wednesday has always been a calendar to remember. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Please wait, our members, participants, please wait. We'll have the virtual memento play. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So nicely done. Thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to all the participants. Thank you, Murali sir.
Thank you very much.